Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rebel Hearted. I have an amazing guest that I'm super excited to share with you today. I've got Line Brunet with me. She's a life strategist and a podcast producer, editor, and mentor. She has been in the podcast, online radio, and broadcasting world for almost 11 years. She is the VP of Mile High Radio, and she is my go-to for all things podcast. Line, thank you so much for joining me today.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Love you.
I love you too.
I'm so excited.
So, tell us, what are the top 3 tips? What's the topic? Is it going to be like, do you shave your legs in winter, or do you have a different topic in mind?
I could talk about all kinds of things. I'm kind of like a sponge of info, but I have to take the opportunity to talk about my favorite thing that I could talk about all day and night, which I usually do, and it's podcasting. I'm talking podcasting because it's such a big thing. I mean, I've been in this field for a long time, and every year it's like, oh, podcasting's big this year. Ooh, podcasting's blowing up. You know how long I've been hearing that?
11 years?
Just about. So, and I'm seeing a lot of things. I'm seeing a lot of fear out there, and that drives me because my specialty is really working with the people to help them launch easily. I'm not the person that's going to tell you to buy yourself a studio and buy like a $300 mic. That's not me. I'm there for the smaller person, to the little guy, the indie person, or somebody who's tech challenged that just is afraid to launch. And I'm seeing a lot of people afraid to launch. So that's what I'm talking about today. My 3 tips are on podcasting. I
love it. And I've got to say that this show would not be happening if it weren't for you asking why we weren't launching yet in your wonderful podcast group.
Mhm. Yeah. And I love how quick you take action. I wish a lot of people took action that quickly, but alas, not everybody does. So I am there for those whenever they're ready to jump. And I love how quickly you jumped. And you're the perfect example of really how easy it can be. It doesn't have to be difficult, but you see so many things out there that have people questioning. I know people, let me tell you, if 3-4 years I've known them, and they still haven't.
Yeah. And then if they try to do the original idea, they're growing so much past that. Why not start your podcast now and allow it to evolve with you?
And it will. It will. Guaranteed. You can plan the best freaking podcast, and it's going to change. It's going to change. Because a lot of people don't know. You don't know. You could plan it out, but until you start doing it and you get into the groove of it, and then you're like, I don't think I really like doing it that way. I don't think I really want to be solo. I think I want to have guests. Or people start out, no, I want to have guests, and they're like, yeah, but I have so much of my own stuff to share. I don't want to spotlight other people. I want to spotlight my expertise. And so, it will evolve, and people could be like, but I like both, so we'll do both. Do both. There's no freaking rules to podcasting. That's why I love it. There's no rules. There's some best practices, but there's 0 rules. It's your show. Do what you want. So
I love it. Well, let's jump into your top 3 tips on podcasting. What's rule number 1? No.
No.
Tip number 1.
Tip, you know what? I got to tell you how hard it was for me to narrow it down to 3, but I thought I would do 3 that people don't generally think about. And the first one, really, to get people thinking about it, if you're thinking about starting a podcast and you're planning the whole who's it for, what's the name, all that stuff, the other thing you need to think about is building your audience first. Don't wait till you launch and call them in and, hey, check out my podcast. Start calling them in before you even launch. You want to tease. Start by teasing. Maybe you don't say, hey, guess what? I'm going to start a podcast. Maybe you start with a couple questions and gather some information. And do you think if I started a podcast? And start teasing a little bit, and then start giving a sample. Do little short Facebook lives, and it may be for some people they're already doing Facebook Lives all the time, but maybe amp it up a little bit. Maybe if you've been doing one a week, maybe start doing them every day for 5 days. Like, just start getting in people's faces a little bit more. Maybe do a little master class. I always like to tell people, do an audio trailer, like a 1-minute trailer. We see trailers for movies. Do a trailer for your podcast that you can throw out there, or put into one of the big distribution sites or your hosting platform. Like for you, you're on Spreaker, that you could upload to Spreaker. And I think you did one of those, Lisa.
Yeah, so you can go from Spreaker right into SoundCloud, and it just it handles
Apple, Stitcher,
all of it.
all the big directories, right? So you need a home, and yours is Spreaker. For some people, it's Libsyn or Acast or Buzzsprout. Like, there's different ones, and then you could just upload like a little audio trailer, and you can use that. You want to build up to your launch and get people excited, and then let them know, hey, I'm going to do this podcast, do a live every day, a really short live on, give them a little bit of what they're going to get in the full version of your podcast. Another good thing is to assemble a group of your cheerleaders, the people that have your back, support everything you do, and gather them ahead of time. So on launch day, they can all help you spread the word instead of doing it by yourself with, hey, here's my episode I just launched. And because it's really a solitary thing, so gather that group ahead of time, maybe form a group around it, which I usually suggest to people, have a group or a page for your podcast, but get a group and sort of tease it out. Hey, I'm going to be doing something. This is going to be amazing. If you'd like to be a part of it and supporting me, like, here's the group, like, get into the group and I'll explain it. And that gets people like, oh yeah, like, I don't want to miss out. I want to be part of that. And then you can share it in the group and let them know the day you're going to launch. And then you've got this whole group of people there with you to launch it out and to subscribe to your podcast. So build your audience first.
Yeah, and you've created a movement then.
Yeah. And you're not alone in launching it to crickets.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, mine came out like total crickets because, well, I read your post in your podcast group, which we'll share with people a little later, and I was like, yeah, why am I not? And right, I was on Spree. And I guess we're doing this now. And so within, I think, 2 hours or something, I was I got guests okay. And we're recording.
And that's okay. Like, that's okay. And if anybody's listening and they're like, oh, well, crap, I already launched, that's okay. But, you could, if you have seasons, some people do seasons, so they take a break. If you've done, a season and you're going to do it that way and you're going to end it, think about maybe for the launch of your season 2, right? You can do that You can do it at the beginning. If you've already launched, don't worry about it. Maybe you don't have a group, get a group and gather some people to help promote it. I mean, promotion goes on all the time. So, but if you haven't started yet, that's a tip that a lot of people don't talk about. Build your audience first.
I love it. What's tip number 2?
2 is, this is one I see people a lot, and I kind of like twitch a little bit when I see podcasters do this. And again, I hate to see there's a wrong thing, but because a lot of people don't know, and it's just, you know what, guys, I've just been around for a long time, so I've just been able to learn these things. And that is that people tend to send listeners to one place to listen. And usually it's iTunes or Apple. Used to be called iTunes, now it's Apple Podcasts. And listen, not everybody is an Apple user. There's a lot of people with Android phones, and don't send people to iTunes. I know they're kind of like the god of podcasts. That is kind of like not as much anymore, and I really dislike Apple, but unfortunately they kind of have like the leg up a little bit. They were kind of the first ones in the field, in the arena of podcasting, and sort of before people had really heard the word. And so what you want to do is you send people to your website. If you want people to listen whenever you promote your show, send them to your website to either listen, so you should have an embeddable player on your website, because listen, a lot of people start a podcast because for their business, right? Business owners launch a podcast because they want more clients, they want more customers. So why do you have a website then if you aren't going to send those people that you're doing this to grow your business? Why aren't you sending them to your website to listen? Why send them to somewhere else? Then they have to click again to get to your website from wherever. Why not just send them straight to your website so they can learn more about you as they're listening? And also, on your website, you should have all the different ways that people can subscribe to the way they prefer to listen. Maybe for some people it's through iHeart. Maybe for some people it's Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Apple. Let your listeners choose the way they want to listen to your podcast. Don't tell them. Let them choose, but make it easy for them to choose. Send them to your website, have the player, and then have all the different ways, all the different places that you are for that with the links.
Yes, that is, okay, that's fucking brilliant right there. I say this because I have so many people that are like, hey, will you subscribe to my podcast? And I'm like, sure, I'd love to subscribe, right? Like, I'd love to. And they're like, it's on Apple Podcasts. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
Because one, I'm an Android, and two, Apple stuff needs updated all the time and it drives me crazy.
Yes.
So no.
Yeah.
Give me a different way to subscribe. I'm in the middle of revamping. My website got built last week, and it's therebelhearted.life.
Yeah.
And my designer was like, hey, just built your podcast page, so you remember to use it here.
Have it on your home page. Like if you have a separate page, but also have something on your home page.
Oh, you
that they can direct, like make it easy. Like podcasters make it difficult for their listeners. You know how many podcasters I see promote their show and no link, and I think, well, how do you really think so highly of yourself that people are going to stop what they're doing and hunt down your podcast? No. Give a link.
Alexa, give me Lynn's podcast, please.
Yeah. Like send them to your website, because 99% of the time you have it to promote your business, to promote what it is you're doing. I mean, there's a lot of hobby podcasters that just like to talk and they want to talk about what their hobby and what they love. But the majority are doing it to grow their business. So send them to your website. That's why you have a website, right? So send them there and then let them, here's the buffet of links to how you can listen to my show. Right? So that's a really important one. If people share iTunes, I'm not going to listen to your show. I'm going to find a way to go to your website because I want to learn more about you. So just send them there.
Mhm. I love it. That's like I said, fucking brilliant. What's tip number 3?
Number 3 is something that a lot of people don't think about, and that is to partner with a business or a business person. So maybe in town where you live, and a lot of times this will be in the bigger cities, there'll be some studio space or like an office, like office share, and you can rent an office, and sometimes it's an old house and people get together and they rent a space, and maybe maybe it doesn't work at home for you to record. So maybe you can partner in an office space that has different businesses and you're going to do a podcast, and they can get, if they can get behind what you're doing, and maybe you're bringing in a different thing and they're excited about it, and maybe they could be guests on your podcast, depending on what it is. But if it looks like it could be a great partnership, partner with them, and you've got a whole bunch of new people that can be guests. Or maybe you know somebody who does T-shirts, and maybe you can partner somehow. You can promote their T-shirt business, and they can do up a T-shirt make some swag for your podcast, and you can promote each other. Or something that works well. Maybe you do product reviews on your podcast, and maybe that's a podcast you think you might want to start because you like trying new things, and so then you can and connect with business owners that way. If you can connect with somebody, it's a great way to do that. And if you can tag them then when you promote, you're opening yourself up to a whole bunch of new listeners. It's because you really need to look at it as every time you do an episode, that's like a new person that's standing in front of you. You've got a new listener. And so, if you can partner with somebody, you're doubling your efforts. So you never know what's out there.
There is a reason why you have been in the broadcasting world for 11 years. And it's clearly because you have a passion for it. It's something that keeps you energized and excited. You continue learning, and you love to share the knowledge, and I'm so grateful for that.
I love it. When I started, I didn't even know the word podcast. I just started. I knew nobody that had one. There was no courses. There was nothing. I jumped blindly, and it wasn't even to get into it. And it grabbed me, and it's just led me deeper and deeper into it. And the people that I've met are just, I love it. And the creativity is off the charts with what's out there and what people are doing. And that's why I said it's so hard to limit it to 3, because there's just so many things. Then you get into like making money, and it's possible to apply for grants to make money that can cover your podcasts. And it's just, there's so much to share that I do it all the time.
Well, here's what I see happening is that I'll have you back on Rebel Hearted, and you'll be talking about another way that podcasting can be brought into your life, or perhaps it's monetizing it, or whatever new and exciting top 3 tips that you've got for anything, really.
Yeah.
And we'll be sharing that. But for this time, just recap for us the top 3 tips you shared with us today.
The top 3 tips. I don't know that I'd say top, but they're definitely 3 less traveled tips, let's say.
Perfect. The 3 less traveled.
Yeah. The 1, build your audience first. Get a group of people in your corner to help you launch and be loud and proud about your podcast. 2 is to send people to your website, please, to listen and to subscribe in the way that they prefer to listen to your podcast. And 3 is to partner with a business that aligns with the message that you're sharing, with your style of talking to people, and just your vibe, that match your vibe. Those are the 3 really less traveled that I don't see a lot of.
I'm super excited. I took notes. I'm going to be taking action on these. I've already got a list of local businesses that would be fun.
And you can go there and do a live recording if you want. Or maybe you want to partner with your neighborhood. Maybe it's your neighborhood, and you go into their business and you set up a time, and people could watch you live record it. And you could maybe interview the business owner, and you make a party out of it. And people get excited when they can see you. You sort of be like a local celebrity. People like to hear their name. People like to be part of something. And if it's something like that, then they get excited. You make an event out of it. And you've got more people going, hey, did you see Lisa? Lisa's going to be at, the Pink Elephant Coffee House, and we're going to watch her, interview the owner, and it's going to be a party, and it's going to be great. And oh my God, there's just so many things you can do, but partnering with a business is huge, because podcasting is very isolating, and then a lot of people drop off and they pod fade, and it breaks my heart. And if you pod fade because it's just not, you just don't love it, I understand, at least try it. But if you pod fade because you feel alone, then this is a great thing to do, partner somehow.
Yeah, I'm so pumped. Holy Snowly, I'm pumped.
Good.
Tell us where people can find more of you.
Well, I'm actually in the process of doing my website, redoing my website, but people can absolutely find me on Facebook. And if they want more podcasting tips in my group, come to my group, Podcast Players Club. Just search for that on facebook.com/group/podcastplayersclub. You'll know by the header there's like a deck of cards, so you'll know that's my group. You can also visit. I run Mile High Radio and consult with podcasters there. We have clients that, maybe they're not techie, so we handle the tech side for them. And if you're looking for new podcasts to listen to, come to Mile High Radio. We have great podcasts, music in between, 24/7. Check it out, Mile High, and it's HI radio.com, and you can get in touch with us through there as well. There's a contact, there's email, and yeah, you can call me through there. All that information is there on the website.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I loved having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back again Thursday with top 3 tips, or perhaps tips less traveled. Who knows what you're going to get when you tune in on Thursday. If you know of somebody that would make a great guest, get them in touch with me. I'm still accepting guests for this first season in 2020. You can find me on Facebook, Lisa Fried Tea. There's my business page there, or my personal profile. I love new friends. Let's connect. Thanks, everyone. Have a day as beautiful as you. Bye for now.